Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, here from the Rasmus building at ESTEC. Now, this is a great day for space activities. We will hopefully see the launch of the first crew to the space station. Now, you will see something today which is a little bit unique. We will see live pictures from Baikonur. We will see live pictures from Chup. And I'm very pleased to announce that the communication links are obviously okay. So we know the crew is in the Sojuz capsule. Now let's find out who are these people. Let's have the first videotape describing the character of these three people going up today.
For the three astronauts who make up the crew of Expedition 1, today's launch marks the culmination of 4 years of training. The first three crew members to live and work on the International Space Station are US Commander Bill Shepard and Russian cosmonauts Yuri Gidzenko and Sergei Krikalev. After launch, the crew will spend 2 days aboard the Sojuz capsule, en route for the ISS. Former US Navy Commander Bill Shepard has logged over 440 hours in space. After 3 space shuttle missions, he became NASA's deputy manager for the International Space Station. He will be the crew commander for Expedition 1.
I run the radios and some of the life support equipment in the Sojuz. Yuri does all the flying, and Sergei runs all the rest of the Sojuz capsule hardware.
Soyuz Commander Yuri Gidzenko, a lieutenant colonel in the Russian Air Force, has already spent over 6 months in space. Gidzenko commanded Euromir 95, the first ESA Russian mission, a crucial stepping stone towards the ISS.
We're getting ready. We're training for spacewalks. We do have training sessions in the Space City, in the Hydro Lab there, the Turbulency Lab here at NASA. So we are getting ready, training.
Flight engineer Sergei Krikalev has logged over a year in space and conducted 7 spacewalks. Sergei was the first cosmonaut to fly on the space shuttle, and he was a member of the first ISS assembly mission in 1998.
Now the hatch opening to the main compartment for Zarya.
If something goes wrong, it's my responsibility to take care of it. Of course, all crew will work on it, but it's kind of my final responsibility to tell what to do and how.
Once the crew are installed on the ISS, construction work will continue on the station. Next year, ESA astronaut Umberto Guidoni will become the first European astronaut to visit the station. He will take part in a mission to install the Italian-built mini-pressurized logistics module. All of the crew are veterans of the Space Shuttle and Mir missions, which paved the way for today's international collaboration. After extensive training, they will carry out the broad range of tasks required on the world's next permanent space station.
What I want out of this flight is for people to say that the first crew did a good job and they came home safe and they left a good ship in orbit.
Done.
Now, this is obviously a very experienced crew we are putting down there, obviously the best the world has to offer at this moment in time. So let's go back to the Chup. Anything news over there?
Yes, we are now here in for about 7 minutes, a little bit more before launch.
We're obviously now coming very close to the launch. No doubt the excitement is going up, the heartbeat moves up, and let's now get another videotape to find out how is the ISS today.
Eventually, the International Space Station will be the biggest ever structure in space. 4 times bigger than its forerunner Mir, it will include 6 laboratories, and its interior will be as big as the passenger cabin of a 747. But as the Sojuz capsule approaches the International Space Station for docking, this is the view which awaits the Expedition 1 crew. The station currently consists of 3 modules: Zarya, the Russian-built cargo block, the US-built node Unity, and the Zvezda module launched in July.
Zvezda means star. I think one can say a new star is born. That is really a great achievement for our Russian friends, whom I would like to fully congratulate for their achievements. But it's also a great achievement for all of us, the space station community. So we are ready to go. That's a real great day for all of us, and I hope we will continue in the same positive manner with the other elements to come.
Once Soyuz has docked, Zvezda will provide living and working quarters for the crew. Their ongoing presence at the station will offer the first sustained test for specially developed technology. First of all, the crew will need to make the data management system fully operational. Developed by ESA, this sophisticated computer system provides essential control functions for Zvezda and all the Russian station elements.
We are trying to build something we never built before. We're trying to use new control systems, which is under testing right now on the ground. But no one knows and no one's sure how it's going to work in space.
Once in their new home, the crew will begin their daily routine, including the rigorous exercise needed to maintain fitness in space.
We'll get up every morning, look at the message traffic from the ground, try and figure out what the last-minute changes have been to the day's plans. We'll have a short conference with Mission Control to discuss this with the flight directors, then we'll get into the day's work.
Life on board the ISS will present some challenges of its own, not least in the realm of housework.
With daily activity and weightlessness, if you spill a couple droplets of tea, it could stick somewhere on the ceiling, and you need some time to clean it off and get the station nice and clean.
From 2003, the European-developed automated transfer vehicle will begin delivering supplies to the station. Meanwhile, the first of 40 more space delivery flights will begin next year, enabling work to continue at the world's first building site in space.
Now, as you can see, we're only 5 minutes to launch. The launch is expected to be close to 8:53. And as we know, there's fog down in Baikonur. Let's hope everything works, or the efforts were useful to get the links over. So let's go back to Chup and find out whether we actually get live pictures from Baikonur.
порядок. Большая вибрация. Работает устойчиво 20. 30. Параметры конструкции ракет-носителя в норме. Нарастает перегрузка, уменьшилась вибрация сейчас. 40 тангаж, рыскание, вращение в норме. 50. 60. Тангаж, рыскание, вращение в норме. 100. Нарастает, немножечко увеличивается вибрация опять. 100. Параметры конструкции ракет-носителя в норме. 110 тангаж, рыскание, вращение в норме.
First stage.
The launch escape system has just been jettisoned. And we have separation of the first stage at approximately 46 kilometers altitude and 5 times the speed of sound.
150 секунд, стабилизация в норме.
Stabilization is nominal.
160 секунд полета. Здесь просто волнового двигателя.
And at the moment the fairing has been jettisoned, and we can see on the video from the capsule that now there is light coming through the side windows, and the crew can now see the deep blue of the sky and the darkness of space. They cannot yet look down to the ground in this attitude. The acceleration is increasing again. It has a maximum of approximately 3.5 Gs, just slightly before the stage separation. You can see that the crew is really enjoying the flight of the booster. At the moment we have a view to Bill Shepard on the left side, and probably you can see this small figure which is connected to the ceiling of the capsule. This is an indicator of the acceleration, and it will show when the insertion into the orbit will take place, because then this little figure will float around and everybody can clearly see that now they are in weightlessness. We have passed 4 minutes. Second stage still operating nominally.
240 секунд, двигатели второй системы, второй ступени работают устойчиво. Тангаж, рыскание, вращение в норме, полет проходит по программе.
Second stage is still working nominally. We are expecting the separation of the second stage in a few moments. We get now the other internal camera, the view to Sergei Krikalyov on the right side and the commander Yuri Gitsenko.
Заканчивается участок работы двигателя центрального блока. Есть отделение второй ступени.
Okay, we have separation of the second stage and ignition of the third stage.
300 секунд.
Parameters of the third stage are within the limits. At the moment,
310 секунд полет.
stage is at 170 kilometers altitude with 13 times the speed of sound, and we are going back to ESTEC.
So I would first say what a launch, what a kind of firework you see for 10 minutes, and they are still not there. They still need to burn up for in total 10 minutes. You can see really fantastic pictures now from the inside of the Sojuz capsule, which we find extremely interesting. But let me announce the last videotape now about what is ISS utilization about, what are they supposed to do, and could I please have the next match?
An astronaut wears a suit designed to monitor breathing while in space. In Belgium, a hospital has adapted the same design to investigate sudden death syndrome in babies. Already, medical science on Earth is benefiting hugely from technology developed to solve problems in space. Robot technology developed to carry out tasks in orbit has been adapted for use in surgery, where the human hand would be neither steady nor precise enough. And the miniature cameras now routinely used for keyhole surgery were first developed as part of the space program. The International Space Station greatly increases the potential for scientific and commercial research in space. With 6 laboratories, the station will have the capacity to accommodate specially commissioned experiments. The European Columbus module, which will be launched in 2004, was developed by a consortium of 41 companies across 14 countries. Columbus will contain a series of independent draw racks, enabling up to 500 separate experiments per year into areas including plasma physics, crystallization, and currents in fluids and emulsions. Astronaut scientists on Columbus will work in a shirt-sleeved environment. But even before the arrival of Columbus or the US-built Destiny Lab, the International Space Station will offer uninterrupted access to the unique environment of near-Earth space. Eliminating the effects of gravity enables scientists to deepen their understanding of the physical forces on Earth, even the workings of the human brain. Experiments can also be conducted around the space station, taking advantage of the perfect vacuum which surrounds it.
And we would like to go to Chubb to find out whether we have reached the right conditions to get into the right orbit. So how's the situation at the Chubb?
Yes, Dieter, everything has been running fine. We are just shortly before third stage separation and orbital insertion. You can hopefully still see the picture of the crew, which is now awaiting the orbital insertion. And this will be a big bump when the third stage separates at 8 minutes and 50 seconds from liftoff. They will be approximately at 220 kilometers altitude with a speed of 7.6 kilometers per second. And if we can have a view of the crew, we will be able to witness when the third stage separates, because this is really a big bump and we can see how weightlessness is coming.
We just get the confirmation of the third stage cutoff and the orbital insertion of the Sojuz TM spacecraft. Everybody is applauding here, getting excited.
Yes, the crew is on its way to the ISS. The first thing they will do in a few moments is activate the attitude control system and start with their first maneuvers. What we can expect now is after the crew has activated the attitude control system, in 3 orbits from now on, they will do a first transfer maneuver to an altitude of approximately 260 kilometers. In this altitude, they will stay till tomorrow. And the first orbit from tomorrow, which will be the 17th orbit, they will do a little correction maneuvers for phasing with the ISS and to compensate the residual atmospheric drag. And then 1 day later, at the end of the second flight day, beginning of the third flight day, they will initiate the rendezvous with the ISS. They will activate the radar system, do a transfer, and then finally in orbit number 34, come to docking with the ISS. So they have now some busy times and some relaxed times where they can rest and sleep and prepare for their really demanding work on board the ISS. It was a great event here. The people are standing up now, and you really feel the relief that everything was running nicely and smoothly nominal.
Congratulations to everybody from here as well.
Okay.
Dieter?
Thanks a lot. So also congratulations here from our side for this really flawless launch. I think it's a great moment, and we will obviously see the docking now with a lot of optimism in 2 days. Nevertheless, let me now announce last video tape, which is to show what happens, the next steps, what is going on beyond this first crew. So can we have the next maps, please?
40 years ago, the dream of sending a man into orbit fueled the space program.
Before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
Today's launch of Expedition 1 marks the beginning of 10 years of continual human presence in space on the International Space Station. Over 30 crews are expected to inhabit the space station during its 10 years in orbit. Paolo Nespoli is part of a core team of European astronauts assembled by ESA.
2 years ago, the European Space Agency convinced all the nations belonging to the European Space Agency to form a unique European astronaut corps. This was a great step forward in European manned spaceflight, because all the activities that were carried out before at national level are now centralized by Europe, and this provides for a better coordination, for a better management and direction.
A month after the Expedition 1 crew arrive, one of many assembly flights, Space Shuttle Flight 4A, will arrive with the solar arrays and batteries needed to provide the first US solar power on the station.
Well, our job is to get the station where it can provide significant amounts of its own electrical power, where it has a laboratory for folks to go and do some research. That's the guts of our mission. And we'll just have to see how those assembly flights go in concert with the shuttle folks to make that all work.
During its 10 years in orbit, the station will be subject to the continual process of atmospheric drag, which can slowly reduce its orbit position. Starting in 2003, the European-developed automated transfer vehicle will visit the station every 17 months, ferrying supplies plus the 4 tons of fuel necessary to help maintain an orbit position of 360 kilometers above the Earth. As they activate system hardware for the first time and work through their daily routines, the Expedition 1 crew will receive constant guidance from the Mission Control Center.
Understanding what ground wants and what ground do, and for them to understand what we are doing and why we do these things a certain way. This is important to stay in good shape and good attitude during flight.
Throughout Expedition 1's mission, ESA's core group of astronauts will continue training. Next spring, the first ESA astronaut to visit the station will be Italian Umberto Guidoni.
We now have a group of 16 astronauts at ESA. Some of them have flown already and know what it's like to live and work in space. Within the ranks of that core group, we have all the competence and professionalism we need to move us further along the road of European space exploration.
Okay, let's give at the moment the final word over to the job. Maybe Christian Feichting and Thomas Reiter have somebody to comment on this launch.
Yes, Dieter, as you have seen, we have the first ISS crew now in orbit. As Thomas has already said, there are 2 days of heavy work in front of them now to make several orbital burns and get closer to the station, to come to a docking, which is presently planned for Thursday this week at 12:19 minutes Moscow time, which is 10 hours, 19 minutes Central European time. We have with us also Mr. Feustel-Böchel. Mr. Feustel, how was it for you?
It was, of course, a fantastic event to be here in Korolev and to follow in the Mission Control Center this fantastic launch was, of course, an exciting moment. It was number 9 in a series of assembly flights and the 9th success, so we are all very pleased that it went so well. The astronauts now will have 115 days of heavy work in front of them. The launches are by far not completed. End of November there is another one which brings solar panels up, and then in January we will see the the Destiny, the US lab, and with that also the experiments on board of the International Space Station will start, a moment to which we look all, of course, with great excitement. So I must say it is really a pleasure to participate in that program, to see the motivation of all the people here in Russia, and I'm sure also at home in Europe, and to follow these exciting moments. The event itself was really a perfect demonstration of Russian capability. The Sojuz launch, on the spot it left. The astronauts, you saw them during the flight, they were calm, not even trembling a little bit. So I think it was all really going perfect, and it is a great pleasure for us in ESA to follow such great moments in space and in history altogether, because I think that was today certainly with the first crew coming on board of the International Space Station, a historic moment for space and altogether for our activities. So we would like to say goodbye to you. It was nice to have followed this event, and I'm sure that we will together be able to follow many more of this kind in the near future until our European elements arrive in 2004. But nevertheless, we will have some experiments already starting next year, and also our first astronaut, Umberto Guidoni, up in the sky in April next year. So thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you very much. We will be with you again, live reporting from the docking event on Thursday. For now, goodbye. Thank you very much.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was really another exciting moment in the build-up phase of the ISS, and still some more moments to come. All the best wishes from the control center, the Russian control center of the ISS. Goodbye to ESTEC and to EAC.
So let's just summarize. The crew is happily on its way. The docking will be on Thursday, 10/19, and I think such a big event deserves a big applause at the end. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.